Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bare Thoughts. Today, I'm talking to someone I love and deeply respect, someone I really have admired for many years, Poonam from Daily Dump. She's been running this enterprise for about 15 years, at a time when no one was really talking about waste management. Fun fact, she was actually my sister's professor at Srishti School of Design and Technology. So it's really interesting to have kind of reconnected with Poonam in a different capacity when I moved back home to Bangalore and started my sustainability journey. And she's definitely been someone who has been a mentor to me and someone who I really, really look up to. So thank you so much, Poonam, for joining us for this episode of Bare Thoughts. So, in this episode, Poonam and I engaged in a live conversation from this World Earth Day on Instagram Live, where we answered various questions on circular design, the power of soil, just navigating our businesses during this pandemic, and of course, we ended with composting. So, if you hear any questions and references to the live, just wanted to give you a heads up. So, Poonam, to start off with, I think sustainability has become this word that is being floated around a lot. Can you tell us a little bit about what it means to you and what got you started into your sustainability journey?
Actually, you're right. The word sustainable is floated a lot, and but what is nice about it is it's actually become a word that everybody's interested in. I think so. That's a nice thing. I also see lots of young people like you. You are the stars of the future, and of course, you're inspiring lots of people. So I think to that extent, you would be a sustainable hero, a sustainable young person, and I think that's very important. Uh, I think the sustainable journey for me has been very personal. It's more inquiring for myself, how do I make sense of whatever I see around me? I don't have the degree, I don't have the qualification, I don't have the certification, but still I feel that this is something that everybody can understand because it comes from heart. It's that part of you that resonates with every other particle that's there surrounding you. And so I don't think you need to have a big certification. You can read up enough. And I think, you know what that Yuval guy says, I really agree with him. He says, the models of education we need to look at for the future are not like you build them in stone with a deep foundation, but more like the metaphor is like a tent, that you wrap up and you pick up and you adapt and you move forward. And I really like that metaphor. So I think sustainability also should follow in the same metaphor. It's not something that's rigid. You have to keep relearning. You have to keep revisiting your own ideas about what is good for the environment, what is good for you. And it's a negotiation and learning. So I think that's what it means. What does it mean for you, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it just means living a lifestyle that's in alignment with your values and in a lifestyle where your contribution does not exceed your consumption. And it's just kind of living in sync with nature. Poon, I'm talking to a lot of people in the sustainability realm. There's sometimes this trigger moment. So I guess I wanted to ask you, what was your trigger? Was there kind of a life changing moment that made you think about what sustainability actually means to you?
Uh, I think my design education. When we were in college, right, and this is very, very many years ago, when NID was not known, design was not known, we had an opportunity to go and work with a very interesting project. Actually, it was a very forward-looking project at that time, historically. It was called the Jabaja project, and it was started by the founder of the IAM, Ravi Mathai, and him and some of our design faculty, and we had to go and live in the villages and I think that really spurred this whole question of how do human beings intersect with nature and how does it intersect with their lives and their well-being and how does this dynamic work? So that I think that was, yeah.
Right. Amazing. I think what are some pieces of advice that you have for entrepreneurs when they're building enterprises? How should we all kind of think about circular design and how can we kind of all incorporate those principles into the work that we do?
Yeah, I think the circular economy, the principles that are already defined now, they've become like it started in 2015, Lord, but now there's a very well laid out and defined and articulated model. I think that should be the guideline wherever I can reduce. I will reduce wherever I can say, and not to use mitigation and externalities to be the way you tackle your first problems. That means you need to go to the core of the problem itself and say, is this something I can design out of this so that I don't have to mitigate later on? I don't have to recycle later on. It should be more of how long can it last, how much value I can extend, how much less I can extract. So those values, right, actually come from the frugal mindset anyway that we had. And India, I think, should leapfrog because this is part of our culture. We have seen, our generation has seen our grandparents and even my mother. I mean, it's not so far removed. It's not even 2 generations or 3 generations. We are witness to that. So I think we should, entrepreneurs like, especially in India, should see that as a strength, not like a weakness, not wanting to ape something else that's happening that they think is pretty cool. And have the courage to redefine in a fresh language so that younger people in India can say, oh, this is the new cool. Like I really like the, one of the people I remember I heard that person say, organic food, organic farming, permaculture is not an age-old practice. It's something that we're redefining with new terminology now. And I think we need to see it as new and not as old, fresh and not as nostalgic only. Otherwise, a lot of people get put off by this, everything was great in the good old days. It was not. We had other issues. So, yeah.
I really like that. So redefine contemporary brands that were rich in our Indian heritage, but also forward-looking and embracing. Great.
And you do that with your brand, right? You've done that with your brand, and you've done lots of young people are doing it with their brand. You can see it in the media of young people. So I think it's very, very heartening because I think younger people these days, I think, are far more involved, articulate, confident. It's nice.
So, Poonam, I think everyone unanimously considers you the design guru. Can you kind of give us some insights into your design process?
I'm the least designer of anybody who can say designer. I mean, if you look at it from the lens of design, I'm so bad at my craft. It's not funny, but having said that, I think what I do is I do what is called practical design. I say, boss, I want to get to the core. If I can get to the core, looking like I'm a McKinsey report, yeah, and it won't take too much of my trouble, I'll do it. But if I have to sacrifice the McKinsey veneer on it, and which one will I choose to sacrifice? I choose to sacrifice the McKinsey veneer. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with McKinsey. I think everybody's fine. I'm just trying to find an example, to illustrate this. So I think that's my fault. And I think.
Can you maybe take us through the design process when you start designing a new product, for example?
Yeah, I think for me, I would put listening to the need and listening and listening and listening without putting your biases, without having your conceptions of what should be right. I think that skill, right? You have to hone it really, really. And for that, you need to be very honest. Because you have to become somewhere, there's part of you that has to split. You need to say, is this me wanting to be this designer who's going to solve this problem? Or is it like, I really am seeing what is out there? I'm not putting my lens on it, or I'm not putting my color on that. I think that's a skill. It's a learned skill. I had 2 or 3 really good teachers. My dad was one. There was a professor called Bandari, and there was a professor called L.P. Ranjan. We'd have long conversations on this. And that having the long conversations, going into the nuances, trying to articulate what does it really mean, what does listening mean, those are very valuable. You can't get it in an online course. It's like you can't pay for it. It's invaluable. And I think that would be my first thing about how I work. Second, I think is I'm not interested in monopoly.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not interested in being the best. I'm just interested in finding a path. I think these are the two things.
That's
Those
really
are the two
interesting.
things guide my design ever. The choices I make in design only through those two.
That's really insightful. So always kind of have a pulse of the need and design purpose for that need. Fill yourself with amazing mentors around you that ask you all the right questions, like you mentioned.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
great
Having
insights.
a good, I would not call them mentor. I would call them more friends. I would call them people you trust implicitly, and who are interested that you learn. They're invested in your learning, and I think that's very, very important. And you also have to give them that feeling that they can destroy you,
Yeah.
and it's okay.
Totally. So basically, creating kind of safe spaces for individuals to create. I also wanted to ask you some pieces of advice that you might want to give entrepreneurs who are trying to find a balance between their economic goals while trying to build a sustainable enterprise that also kind of pays salaries but also designs for good. How do you kind of keep these economic and environmental goals alive?
Yeah, yeah. That I think that's a very. In fact, it's even more important in today's age because everybody wants independence and rightly so, right? And financial independence. And it's becoming tougher. I feel because you it's almost becoming either or. If you have to pay salaries and so then it's like it's like saying I've made five like I'll take the analogy of my company. I've made five canvas, right? And I enjoyed the design process. I understood the problem, and I suddenly realized after making those five canvas that actually I need to go and talk to the government of something else because then it will make this Kamba path story open up more. But because I have to pay salaries, I have to put my attention into making that five Kambas into 50,000 Kambas.
Yeah.
And that requires completely different mind space, right? You shift your brain separates and says, okay, I can't then think of other ways that the path can open. And that's what excites me. And that's where I feel that the systems view comes into place. And so I'm at that junction. And if I make those 50,000 commas, maybe I can pay better salaries, I can earn more, I can become very efficient. But because I've studied sustainability and I've studied this, the curves and over time, and I've understood some of it, I know that building those efficiencies also at one point will peter off. And what will I do then? There's another part of my brain that thinks like that. And the reconciliation of this is
Yeah.
you're standing, I can see your face, you're saying, yeah. And everybody in this place is in the same thing. I think some people do a better job of it than others. And I think they have a plan. And so I'm actually the wrong person to ask. I'm not a planned person. I don't have a plan. And
You're more spontaneous and kind of problem
yeah,
solver.
yeah. Plans, that's the ability to plan. I think is also something if you learn earlier on in your life, then it carries through, and it's a good, very, very important skill to have, and that helps. I think I've seen people who have plans and they have some idea of the numbers. They're able to make better predictions. So me, wrong person. I cannot give that advice. About you will be great.
I'm right there with you. I'm more of a kind of instinctive entrepreneur. I'm not very good with Excel or numbers or planning ahead, and I just kind of go with what's there. So I totally understand it. I read a thing which was so beautiful. It said um, our soil is like our gut, and the health of our soil indicates the health of our world. And I think you're in this of basically helping, convert organic compost into something so valuable, which is, the building block of life. So I think, first of all, that's so commendable. Thank you for what you do. But also, as a society, we are assigning value to the right things. Like, you're basically in the process, in the business of creating soil, which is the very basic kind of doing lots of life. Do you think as a society we value it enough? I guess is my question.
We don't. We take everything for granted, no? I think it's also the human nature, right? It's like that law of, what is it called? Economic principle, law of diminishing margins or something like that. The more you have it, the less you value it. I mean, you may value it today, but you don't value it tomorrow. And that's where I think, that's where I really respect a lot of our traditional traditions in that light, because they had, it was like, you said, all right, you have to go out in the soil and do a pongal. Okay, if you don't want the dogma bit, you leave that out. But that was a very important, it was like building it into your timetable. And now we have mindfulness apps and we have yoga apps. They're doing the same thing, right? They're telling you at this time you do this. Yeah. And that, those collective rituals that India has, a lot of the, I mean, lots of traditional societies had it. They'd figured out that together we should go and sit in front of soil on this day. Then we'll forget about it for 1 week and then we'll have to again go. Because you have to keep reminding yourself. They acknowledge that. They acknowledge that you cannot not remind yourself. And I think that's very critical. How do we build for ourselves a new kind of that reconnect, which is the new format?
Yeah, you're right. In culture also, traditionally had a intimacy with soil and food. We eat with our hands.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of ways, we're talking about rekindling those kind of values and intimacy, mindfulness.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a workshop on that, Sir. Maybe we should. Yeah, no, we should think of 3 fun rituals that people can come off, 3 dresses, 3 slogans, 3 whatever chants, whatever, and see if it works. I don't know, because blogging is all right, but I'm saying, why don't we infuse it with the culture thing that we have? Like, while I think that's what I'm saying, mitigation, for me has never impressed me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It doesn't call to my heart.
Yeah.
The other thing touches me more. I resonate more with that. So maybe we should. I think that's a good idea. We should definitely take this conversation further. Yeah.
I guess, Poonam, do you think, the world is getting cleaner, the air is getting cleaner, we're able to see the Himalayas from hundreds of kilometers away, something we haven't seen in 50 years. All of us just sitting in Bangalore can hear the birds again. So do you think the lockdown is calling for us to kind of reevaluate our lifestyle, to slow down? What does that mean for sustainability? Do you think people are adopting more mindful, sustainable lifestyle? Are they going to be more cognizant? What are your kind of thoughts?
I don't know. Frankly speaking, I don't know. I think that a lot of I read recently about the fact that all of this lockdown, while it's made the air cleaner, the particulate matter, it still not have the impact on the carbon emissions to the extent that it should have had. And so some guys are saying the math doesn't work out. I don't know enough about it to be able to make a really informed decision or comment on that. But my sense is that I personally think it's nice that we have got this time to reflect, and I think it should be used as a time for reflection. But I also think that it's also shown me how marginalized people always get the brunt.
Yeah.
And that the power distance is so high, right, between the village and the city, and the communities that don't have articulation in these kind of ways, and some other culture, other articulation. That is the part that I'm not able to make. That's all.
I think there are all of these funny memes going around that our grandparents were called to war and our generation has been kind of asked to just stay at home and sit on our couches. But on the other hand, of course, we're all kind of reading about the plights of the migratory communities and kind of all the daily wage laborers, primarily, who've really been displaced and are really badly hit during this pandemic. And I think it's just a difficult time all around. But a lot of people have also been donating, and I think it's given us the opportunity to witness a lot of human kind of altruism at this time. Would you have anything to share about that?
But I think people do rally around disasters. I saw it in the Kutch earthquake. I've seen it in 2, 3 other times, and in my experience, that's really great, and it's important. It's natural. I think lots of people are naturally go out and do their bit. At times like this. It's just that the longer term systemic issues we don't know yet to handle. We don't seem to. Um, have either the frameworks or the will to do that kind of push behind that. It's all still in pockets, and I don't know. I get a sense of, again, mitigation rather than systemic shifts.
Yeah. So I guess we're getting a lot of questions on composting. So
yes,
maybe
yes. In fact, I saw a question saying that you should mince your or you cut down your material before you compost it. So anything, my response to that is that if you had to actually do extra work, right, it reduces the chances for adoption. That's why we try not to give people who are already busy, especially in urban centers, any extra work to do. That's why we don't ask you to cut it down. Or we don't have a mincing machine or a pre-mincing area for a home composter.
Yeah.
I can't see any of the other questions, but let me just scroll down on it.
I'm kind of looking at some of them. Some of them are asking, what can I do if I don't have access to cocoa peat right now?
Yeah. If you don't have cocoa peat, actually, especially at the lockdown, you just pick up some dry leaves if you have access to it. Some apartments are not even allowing you to go to the common areas. But if you can get access to some dry leaves, crush them up, cut them. I cut them with a scissor. I crush it up and use it instead of cocoa peat. In that case, you'll just have to stir it every 3 days so that it doesn't become smelly.
Great. So just lay a
production.
If you don't have peat. I think there are some questions around how small enterprises kind of have a difficulty in scaling, especially when they're trying to have these competing objectives, environmental or economic objectives. Do you have any more comments on that?
On scaling. I don't think I'm a good person to answer on scaling because I don't understand what scaling is. Need to monetize efforts, and that's where most sustainable startups collapse. Constantly figuring how to do that. Yeah, so maybe one of the things that any venture guy will tell you, or any mentor for startups will tell you, that your basic idea must be something that people want to pay for, right? So I think that maybe your idea has to be very, very sound. The proof of concept has to be very good. Somebody says composting is very, very tough for me. I have to get soil from outside. I have to spend on cocoa peat. You'll have to share why it's tough for you. I see a pre-2927 here. Pre, do you have any reason why it's very tough for you? If you share, then we'll be able to give you actual advice. I can't start composting during this lockdown. If you have an old bucket, you can. Just take an old bucket, drill some holes, make sure it has a lid. You can put your compost, your waste, daily waste in it, and you can add dry leaves. And you're ready to go. You make sure your bucket has holes drilled on it, or you can make, you can heat a screwdriver on your gas and punch a hole into the bucket. That's very easy to do.
And so I guess we should have holes because it helps the soil aerate.
Aerate, yeah. If you've never done composting before, then you must know that the holes are there for bringing the oxygen and letting the air in, so it doesn't start smelling. And you have to, whatever amount of waste you put, you have to put equal amount of dried leaves that are cut and crushed. Don't put dry leaves whole, because they'll start compacting and they won't give you the carbon for the microbes to act, because you need to break them down. And Rishikesh says we should celebrate culture. Absolutely, celebrate it, please. Yes. But sometimes younger people want new cultures. And promoting and incentivizing sustainable acts around us, yes. What kind of incentives? I think there should be a range between monetary, between things that either give you something to learn, something to do, fun games with, or fun experience. It can be an experience, it can be a product, it can also be money. Is an apartment balcony practical compost? Absolutely. You should compost in your balcony. It's ideal to compost in your balcony. All our products allow you to compost in a balcony. What's to be done if worms come up in the compost? No, if worm comes up in the compost, if they're those white, serrated, small-looking things that keep going around, those are good worms. So what you should do is let them be. They'll do their job. They actually break down the material. They're very good. And on our website, we have a thing called Know Your Black Soldier Fly Maggot. So please visit our website. It's dailydump.org. And if you go to the troubleshooting section, you'll find the maggot page is there. What is more effective to use, plastic bucket or matka? If you have an old matka, please use that. It's much more effective because it is a natural absorbent of the extra water that gets discharged during composting. So use a matka if you have it. If you don't have it, use a plastic bucket. Any solutions for houses without balconies? If you're a single person, if you don't have a balcony, we have something called the gobble soro, which you can keep inside the house because one person doesn't generate so much waste, and that will work. Vijay Lakshmi, we've tried the rotating composter. We have made many, but it doesn't compost effectively, so we stopped making it, but they're available in the market. You can look at them. Can you give green tips on growing microgreens? There's a very interesting project in Bangalore called Village Story. She does an excellent job of showing you how to do microgreens. You should sign up for her webinars. It's called Village Story. Her name is Anamika. She's a really very passionate microgreen grower. So please learn from her. Sahar, you should take that one. Is it difficult to start a business around sustainability?
I think it's quite encouraging that I think more and more people do care about sustainability genuinely. I think also South India has somehow kind of been a good place to start a business. I think Bangalore, by virtue of being a startup hub, people are just willing to try new things and embrace new ideas. So I think also conservation is well because it's shared one car. So I feel like, in the southern markets, we're doing fairly well. And of course, there are, starting any businesses have plenty of challenges. But I think, we are living in the largest global garbage crisis of our lifetime. The IPCC report is out. We know all of the statistics out there. So if we don't try now, we never will. So I think the best time was, 20 years ago, but the second best time is now. So go for it. That's my coffee turned black with a little bit of fungus on it. Any tips?
Turn black with what was the color of the fungus? Little white. If it was white, very good.
Okay.
Yeah. It was white. Yeah, that's good. So it's very good compost. That means your composting is happening very, very effectively. How to stay sustainable during quarantine? This is again Sayar's question.
I think there are very few easy things that you can do. One of them is just compost all of your organic waste. You're saving 60% of your waste and just getting outside your house. Replant leftovers. If you have a bunch of veggies, just stew them up. So you can make a veggie stew to it. When you're cooking, you can also use this of your broccoli or cauliflower. So try and kind of, use it all in your cooking as much as possible. Use a menstrual cup, use the neem stick, salt stick, or just simple coconut oil for your dental care. We've been using it in, Ayurvedic practices, and it has a lot of benefits for your dental health. So I think those are some quick and easy ones. Instead of makeup removers that are these plastic wipes, just use a little cotton swab, maybe a little. If you have time now to put a little, you can just dip that in coconut oil and take out your kajal or cleanse your face with it. You don't need the single use. Cleansing wipes out usually. So there's a few tips and tricks to incorporate while you're in quarantine. While we're all getting more intimate with our waste, I suppose there are incentives for us to reduce how much we're putting out there in the first place.
So and so I have compost. So
yes.
Please follow a good example.
I started with my nano kama, which was at the time. And then I realized I just love watermelon, and then we made a home office, so now we have a big 4-story khamba now, and it's painted green, and we love it.
So what do you do with the fruit flies, Sahar? Let's stay happy.
I mean, they come and they go. We just put a little bit more compost, I guess. Maybe then I re-examine my proportion of, remix powder. But that hasn't been much of a problem.
Yeah. And if you really have a problem of the fruit flies coming into your kitchen and things like that, you can make a citrus enzyme. I think Bare Necessities also sells it, right? So you can spray it and spray around the compost also. You're able to control it a bit. And we also have a fly protector, a small muslin cloth cover, which you can use even your old chunni or old dupatta. You just cover it, it becomes like another fly protector, so that your fruit fly population reduces. Oh, she says it was black, the fungus. Okay, so that means that there's some problem with the composting. What you need to do is you need to add some nitrogen, that is if you have some panchgavya. Otherwise, lots of dhania card leaves, add some haldi, and add some curd. So you kickstart some beneficial bacteria into the pile. Did not break down, it's quite enough dry leaves. No, were your dry leaves too much? If there's too much also, then there'll be a problem. If you send us a photograph at 99164 26661, we'll be able to give you some better advice after we see the photograph. I can see your handle as ADA712. I don't know your name. So if you send us a image at the helpline, we'll help you with more clarity. Very nice, yeah. How will you encourage people to start composting now? Do you want to encourage? Is that what you're asking? So if you want to encourage, I think you should go stand on the roadside. That's what I did. When I started Dairy Dump, I just stood on the roadside. I put my khamba there and I started talking to anybody who would listen. So that's the best way. What about makeup? Yeah.
So what about makeup?
We don't get makeup in compostable packaging.
Yeah, I mean, I really encourage everyone to use things that are native to their own kind of kitchen. And when you are consuming, kind of just shop from ethical brands that do sell things in, glass that's recyclable or cardboard that's recyclable. But also, this is such a fun time to just kind of do a bunch of DIY experiments. If you have coconut oil, if you have cocoa butter, if you have a little bit of beeswax, you can make lip balm by yourself, you can make lotion by yourself, you can just add a little bit of essential oil. You don't need makeup remover. You can just use coconut oil or rose water. For kajal, I love using surma. I think that's also something that my grandma use. You get it quite easily up at mosques and things like that. You can also try and make some with camphor, which is a little bit more experimental. But there are some simple things that you can do. You can just cleansing your body. You can just use coffee grounds, green gram, yellow gram, with a little bit of curd or milk or water, whatever you might have in your own kitchen or fridge or pantry right now. When you try and reinvent food, your kind of fictional, dental, body care, I think those are kind of the best.
That's wonderful. How do I know I'm on the right track with my compost? It's only 3 days old. Trust the earth. Today's Earth Day. Just let her do her job. She needs some time. Don't worry. It'll start turning brown as long as it doesn't smell. See, if it's not smelling bad, means everything's going well. If it smells bad, just go and add some more cocoa peat or dried leaves to it. Oil pulling. Okay. That's your department, sir.
Yeah, you essentially just need to take coconut oil and like you're gargling with water in the morning, but you just gargle with coconut oil for about 10 or 15 minutes. But actually the coconut oil massages your gum and it also kind of takes out all of the impurities and stuff. So if you, like a lot of smokers have seen change in their, the color of their gums, etc. with continuous oil pulling. So it's just basically rinsing your mouth for about 15 minutes with coconut.
15 minutes, is it?
15 minutes.
15 minutes is a long time.
It is a long time. So
but it's supposed to be good. Okay. I think that the ability for Seher to connect with this whole, your kitchen becomes your beauty salon is wonderful. It's very nice. Thank you, Srini, for using the kamba and gifting it. Very important. We'll survive, especially at this COVID time. Banana peel is very good for compost. Yes, very good as compost. You can, in fact, dry it up completely, powder it. I use that and top dress some of your pots inside the house. Ankita, that's really good. Chaitali, okay. Chaitali is your name. Hi, Chaitali. It's nice to get the names behind the handles. Would you like to say something before we sign off? I think we finished half an hour, right?
Yeah. I mean, I just want to encourage everyone to celebrate Earth Day in whatever way they can, and just kind of introspect on our life. Since we've had the ability to slow down a little, maybe we can bring those values even into a post-pandemic world in our consumption choices.
Yeah, and Seher's Bare Necessities Daily Dump also sells her products. And I think that, I'd like to thank Seher very much for doing this, because more and more I'm feeling that, we had, all of us who are working in the space need to also collaborate more, do more work. I think that's one of those things that the lockdown has taught us. And we need to reunite and say, okay, what is that we can do together? We've already started that conversation, but I think we should take it up more seriously. And there were two last questions. What can be used to layer instead of remix powder? You can use dried leaves, cut them up, crush them, and put them into the composter. Do you separate garlic and onion peels from your compost? No. You put everything. You put atta, bread, pizza. I put everything, bones, everything into my compost. So with that, I think I prepare in 2 hours and left for drying. See, the large organic compost machines that do that in 2 to 3 hours, what they do is basically they burn the material, the organic material. They don't really create compost. But sometimes you have to do that because the volumes of waste are so high. So it depends on the context. It's all related to when. If I had the choice, I would rather create it into soil, compost that is very good for the soil. But I think one must look at the context and then take a decision. I'm composting my kitchen waste in 3 ways and struggling to change people's mentality. Don't worry, people will change slowly. And Sahar, thank you so much. And thank you everybody for coming to this session. It was very, it was wonderful on Earth Day to be able to share ideas with Sahar. And I'll be with everybody here on this event. So we need to say bye and thank you very much there. Take care and we'll keep in touch.
All right, so this brings us to the end of our conversation. Thank you so much, Poonam, for inspiring me and millions of other Indians. I've had such a blast talking to you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and see you at the next episode of Bare Thoughts.
Happy Earth Day, guys. See you guys. Bye.